Right, today we are going to talk about state shoes. So we want to look at what we addressed yesterday, all about the records that we play, the parrots on our shoulders that go and it just won't shut up, and it keeps on going and keeps on going. That it gets so loud that it becomes like an absolute racket, and that you can't actually control it anymore, and you'll end up being overwhelmed with some negative form of emotion. So one of the things that I was talking about yesterday was how to scratch that record. I'm going to give you a whole raft of tools, but today's main takeaway will be how to change your state, and that is to change your physiology. This is one of the many ways that you can do it. Okay, so first of all, there's all sorts of, there's a raft of tools that you can actually do, and I will speak about them. And you can go to the website once it's finished and actually get something that you'll have in your emotional toolkit that you can whip out, like EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, the havening technique, which brings down the level of emotion, and the EMDR, particularly in combination with one of those other two. Those three are really critical for your home base to kind of get you through the tough nuts. If you're having a really tough time, or someone you can use this technique with others. I'll just be very careful though, on not deep-seated issues. Please don't do anything like, if it's abuse or if it's any really serious emotional situation, please don't go there. Rather get them, get yourself or get the other person to get the help that they need from a qualified, experienced person. Obviously, be reasonable. I mean, I get, I'm sure you would. I just have to have a disclaimer in there so that everybody is aware. But now what I want to do is, this is your very first port of call. Such a basic thing. It's not even funny. So all it is, I'll just tell you straight up, all you do is change your physiology. So instead of, when you think about someone who's really sad, just think about how they actually are. They've got the droopy shoulders, they're looking at the ground, they, normally talking to themselves, and it's like a quiet voice, and it's just like, oh my God, it's just all so much. It's like they've got the weight of the shoulders, of the weight of the world on their shoulders, and it's just like they're dragging their heels and they're dragging their knuckles on the ground, and it's like, it's just hard work. Their breathing is shallow. The words that they use are really negative, and it's just, so do you want to hang out with someone who's like this the whole day? I don't. Okay, so the first thing I would say is the complete opposite. Now, what is someone who is in charge, who is in control, who's strong, who's empowered, who's certain, who's assured of what it is that they want, who feels happy and focused and determined? What kind of posture would they have? So if you think about it, their shoulders are back, their heads are held high. You think of a queen or someone regal. They don't walk around like that. They look like this, and a warrior. If you think of Xena warrior, I don't know if anyone ever saw that. I'm originally from Zimbabwe, but I did know that they had a movie here, or a TV series called Xena, and it's all about like the Amazon goddess. She's actually from New Zealand, and it was a TV series that became really quite popular. But think of Wonder Woman or Bionic Woman, or what do we have now these days? Probably something in the Avengers. Clearly showing my age here, sorry guys, but you get the idea. So how would you wear it if you had a cape? And it's just like, I am strong, I am powerful, I am, so let's just practice that now. It doesn't matter where you are, let's just take that on board. So I want you to think about, someone who's really sad, like just take on the physiology of someone who's really sort of sad and, down, and what kind of things they're going to say, and okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to switch out to being really strong and powerful. Okay, so how does the strong powerful person walk, maybe, you know, with their shoulders back, and they might have their hands on their hips. You know, you think of the Wonder Woman pose. And I just want you to have that sense of certainty of, you know, I'm unstoppable. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to find a way. I am, you know, I am strong. I am certain. I am, you know, happy, focused. Breathe the way that they breathe. Deep breaths. You know, yeah, and if you're a man, you might beat your chest, you know, it's like, I'm strong, you know, whatever it is, you know, maybe you're the, I don't know, the Hulk, or the, you know, you've got some superpower, you know, what is it, you know, you got fire coming out, whatever, your hands, or maybe you can lift things, or you can make yourself invisible, you know, whatever your superpower is, okay, now just take that on. And don't you already feel the difference within your body? Just absorb it. Just breathe in that sense of strength and certainty. And you just know, I mean, you can feel a lot better and happier about it, don't you, immediately? Right, and now back into the sad. So grim and boring. I just can't believe that she's talking about empowerment. Oh, God. You know, really... Oh, the hardships of life. Why do I have to just put up with this nonsense? Okay, switch out. Okay. Oh my God, I'm feeling so empowered. This is amazing. Wow, this is so, I can't believe it's made such a difference. You know, I'm feeling good. I feel a charge of energy right through my body. I'm feeling good and strong and centered. If I put my hands on my hips, I feel even better. And take it on board, take it on board. Breathing deep, I can conquer the jolly world. Bugger it, I'll tell you what, yep. Had my trials and tribulations, but not anymore, okay? Now let it go. Okay. Now, one of the things, I mean, can you tell the difference? So what, it's absolutely critical. If you yourself are in a funk, all right? If you are in, you know, the doldrums, if you're in a state of sadness or anger or whatever the negative emotion is, the very first thing I want you to do is change how you're standing. If you're sitting, stand up. Start moving. Just do something completely different, okay? It doesn't matter what it is. Now, one of the things that I can tell you, which I thought was really interesting, it was a study that I think was done in Harvard. I can't remember, and I can't even remember the lady's name, I'm so sorry, but she discovered that if you put your hands on your hips, you know, ladies especially, like, you know, well, it doesn't matter, you know, men and women, like, it's the Wonder Woman pose, she calls it. And if you just do that for 2 minutes, they actually did put monitors on to test. They tested blood levels, they tested testosterone levels, they tested the serotonin levels, they tested all the different sort of levels of feeling good hormones and not so feeling good hormones, and it just from 2 minutes of having your hands on your hips. This is something you can do anywhere. You know, you can go to the toilet and do this, you know, just stand in the cubicle and just do deep breathing, stand up straight, take on the Wonder Woman pose, wearing your cape, making yourself invincible, strong, protected. You can do it now with me. Just do it. And I can even do it sitting down. I mean, you can too, okay? Just do it for 2 minutes solid. And focus on the positives. Really useful if you're going into a meeting, say you're going into an interview, or you know, you're nervous about doing a speaking engagement, whatever it is. Brilliant for doing that. Brilliant. Okay, gets you really centered and strong. Okay. And what they worked out is that it decreases your level of testosterone, your estrogen, which makes you feel more nervous and concerned about stuff. and it decreases your level of your negative emotions, and it increases your level of testosterone, which significantly by, I think it was 25%. Now I'll have to double check these stats. I'll see if I can find those stats for you, and when we get the Facebook channel live, I'll pop it in there for you to go and have a look at. But it tells you exactly what if you're feeling down, it drops it by 35% or something, and it increases your feeling good hormones by up to 25%. Now those exact figures I'll find out for you, but it's significant. It's enough to get you more than across the line of getting on top of your stress, on top of your worry, on top of your fear about going into a meeting or whatever the case might be. Now that in itself is just changing your physiology. So you'll often see as well, I do remember it was quite interesting. There was a study that was done on Olympic champions and how they rehearse everything in their mind before they actually do something. And what they noticed, which was really interesting, they put the electrodes all over their body and they asked them to imagine like running the race. So say you're running, you're an Olympic champion and you're running your relay race, whatever the case might be, and to strike the pose and to do everything that in their mind, not physically. So not actually running on the treadmills, not actually doing the physical exercise, just imagining it. And what they found was that it triggered the same muscles, like the muscles were twitching, the same sense of emotional charge was monitored. The release of all the positive hormones were released, and that was just running the race in their head. So that's not even actually physically doing the actual movements. So it just shows how much our mind has control over how our body actually feels. And this also ties in a lot with the somatic experiencing guys and what they talk about. Peter Levine's work is fascinating because it talks about how, as humans, we have the incapacity, we've learned to incapacitate ourselves really by not releasing trauma like animals in the bush would. They do. So I gave mention before in one of my videos about how the lion chases the zebra or the springbok, and especially with springbok you can actually see them. They actually shake off the trauma. They literally jump around and shake their legs and their hooves and everything, and they shake their whole body, and sometimes they'll just do the like this for a while, which is why we go into that state of shock when we have trauma, physical trauma to our bodies. And one of the things that he talks about is you need to, instead of stopping it, saying oh don't do that, let it ride, let it release, let it discharge from the body, because if you don't, it gets locked up. And that's half of the issue, is that we've become such mental academic beings that I can't be seen to look fearful, I can't be seen to be upset or whatever the case may be. If that doesn't work for you, take yourself away, let the emotion run its course, do its cycle, and let it discharge. But it's again an acknowledgement and validation of the importance of the physiology being directly tied to the emotion. So you've really got to sync the two. So if you're feeling down, change it. So one of the things that sometimes I do is like I say, okay, if you're feeling really down, and I've done this with folks, and I say, right, look at the ceiling, stick out your tongue, put your finger on your nose, and just blow like you're blowing bubbles, or like that, or whatever the case may be. And I just want you to do that and after about a few seconds they go, this is so ridiculous, they're laughing, we've broken the state, we've changed the emotional charge. Like, it's just like, so if you do that often enough, Like over and over, I had one lady say to me, she said, now I can't actually do, every time that comes up and that person ticks me off, I start remembering blowing, doing my tongue out and all of this and looking at the ceiling and just collapsing with laughter. So it just broke that record. It didn't let the record run anymore, and that's it. That's just, it's munted that story, the parrot that was on the shoulder that I was talking about in my previous video. It cuts that high and dry, and if you do that often enough, okay, you'll get on top of it. So just be aware of your state. The next time you catch yourself, like we talked about triggers yesterday, identifying your story, like, these are the things that it's like, what shoes am I wearing, what story, in different relationships, in different scenarios, you've got a whole raft of different ones, and you might want to have, multiple ways of breaking that state. And physiologically is number one, hands down. You've got to do that. Now, a lot of people, they're like a little bit gun shy, if I'm afraid to say. I don't even know if that's really the right terminology, but they're like, oh man, I don't want to be jumping around. Like you see in these Tony Robbins things, and the whole hall is full of people jumping up and down, and it's just like, really, seriously, are you wanting me to do that? And it's just like, you don't have to go to that level, if that doesn't work for you. But if you can, I can tell you now, it will make a difference, because the evidence is that when you're in peak state, and that means you have to go all out. When you are in peak state, then you are going to see a dramatic change in a much shorter period of time. So it's your choice. You can go half-hearted, you can go lightweight, you can do whatever. And it might be that, it's not like you standing in the toilet cubicle going, rah, I'm not suggesting that per se, but it might be that you go for a long, hard run. And and at the end of it, just get rid of that excess energy that just doesn't work for you, So here's another thing that I would suggest as well. I know that peak state helps you accelerate what you onboard as well. So for example, when I every day when I exercise, which is every single day, pretty much. I mean, the odd exception I don't. Okay. Especially if it's walking, jogging, doing weights, whatever the case might be, where there's some level of stretch, where there's some level of push that's required, I always listen to a podcast. There's not ever a time where I don't do that. And the reason is it's a shortcut to learning that information. It just goes straight in, and it's stuff that's positive, and you're associating it with your positive physiological movement. So whenever I walk, I call it, or even chore university. Sometimes I have it where it's like, if I've got to clean the house and I'm vacuuming, I plug in and away I go. I don't even think about the vacuuming. I don't think about what I'm actually doing, but that movement, because my body is moving, I'm more likely to make good neurological synapse neuron pathways that are going to support and move me forward in a positive way. And that's what I would encourage for you. So rather than just sitting and listening, like all these videos, you don't have to watch me. You could plug me into your I'll show you. I've got one of these exercise things. Sorry, it's quite manky. My sister's buying me another one, God bless her. She said, like, it's embarrassing, I shouldn't be wearing it, but it just shows how well I use this every day. Look at this, look at that. I mean, it's completely torn, but the phone goes in, I plug in with my thing, and away I go, and it's at least half an hour to an hour. And it's like, I might walk and then I run, or I walk and I jog, and it is just something positive. You can do that with these videos. Just plug in and away you go. It ties in with your exercise. It's positive. It's going to get you going in, on the right path, in your right shoes, the right way. And, it's so key. Just move. Sometimes you need someone, and if you can't move, you say you can't move, everybody can move. If you with the exception obviously if you're paralyzed or whatever, incapacitated for whatever reason. But sometimes, you know, the vast majority of it just actually need a coach, you know, just as someone move, just get going, you know, just stand up, just move your body, and that in itself will shift that state. So easy. Everybody can do this, you know, like I do it with my kids or whatever. Really great, by the way, for guys. You know, sometimes they don't find it easy to communicate, and movement is a way, especially if they're kinesthetic, if they've got that feeling base. Walking and talking is key, you know. So I often do sessions that I walk and talk. I walk with. I'm not the usual kind of coach. I'm not the usual kind of, some people call me a counselor, therapist. I'm not that where it's like you have to sit in a room. Yes, if I'm doing a specific technology or technique, with you, yes, I might do that. But I often do walk and talks because you're out in nature, it's breaking your state, it's affirming positive, it's releasing old, it's connecting new, it's setting up new neural pathways, and you do that often enough, over and over and over again. There we go. Now we've got a good record. Now we've got a good thing that's working for us, and we go, oh, what a relief. I don't have to listen to that damn parrot anymore. I am done with that parrot. I don't want it anymore. And this is how I'm going to actually, you know, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to wear these shoes. This is how I'm going to tackle it with this change of state. I might go for my walk or my run, or it might be that, you know, you do breathing, whatever the case may be, but you start doing it. Now there's going to be a number of different state changes, but this is the number one thing. And if you can't do any of that, I would suggest that you look at breathing. So there's box breathing. I will probably, yeah, that might be something that, you know, these kind of techniques and everything I tend to just sell as a little add-on for you that can go into your emotional toolkit. I'd be looking at Wim Hof or something if you can handle it. It's not everybody's bag, but with that heavy deep breathing, it breaks the state. So if you're not into what I've suggested here, that's another option. There are multiple ways that you can break state, and I might elaborate that on those things in other videos as we go along, so that you can get more information on what does work and what doesn't. I just don't want to overload you. So today, what I would suggest is, please break your state, get moving, try it on, go for a walk, go for a run, listen to one of these videos or all of these videos, and commit to, every time I do exercise, I'm going to listen to Vicki Jane, or, you know, I'm going to listen to some kind of nurturing podcast, or I'm going to, you know, watch some video while I'm doing my trampolining at home, or whatever it is that works for you, okay? But just commit to it. Take that step and do it over and over again so that it actually becomes a habit. And those are just shoes that you wear to deal, okay? You deal with it, you deal with your state, you get on top of your state. Hope you found that useful. So as always, I'm here to help you on your new path. Get in shoes that you actually want to wear, on a path that works for you, going in the direction you actually want, with people that actually going to support and help and nurture you to get there. I hope you found that useful. If so, please thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, and hop over to the Facebook group and chat over there with us if you are open to that. Thank you so much. Namaste.